I never thought I'd be the guy who had to fight for the right to sit in his own wheelchair. But there I was, in the middle of my neighborhood meeting while 2 HOA board members tried to strip me of my dignity in front of everyone. They said I was faking my injury, that I didn't look disabled. And for a moment, I almost believed them. When I first moved into Maple Grove Estates, I thought it was perfect, quiet streets, trimmed lawns, and houses that all looked like they were copy-pasted from a magazine ad. It was supposed to be peaceful. I was recovering from a knee injury that wrecked my mobility, and I just wanted somewhere calm to heal. I didn't realize that peaceful here came with a dozen rules about how to live, where to park, what color your blinds could be, and apparently whether or not you could be seen in a wheelchair. The HOA president, Dalian Brooks, was the kind of woman who treated every sidewalk crack like a personal insult, always in a cream blazer, clipboard in hand, barking at gardeners about aesthetic standards. Her sister Emma wasn't officially on the board, but she was always there, loud, smug red blouse, recording everything on her phone like she was the moral police of suburbia. They were known around the block as the Karen sisters. The first time they came to my house, I thought it was a misunderstanding. I was sitting on the porch, my wheelchair parked near the railing, enjoying some sun, when Dalian approached with that fake smile people wear when they're about to say something awful. "Good afternoon," she began in that tone that made it sound like she was reading from a courtroom transcript. "We noticed a medical device left outside your home. That's a violation of Community Code 4B. I blinked. "My wheelchair?" She nodded as if she were doing me a favor. "It's not about you, dear. It's about maintaining the neighborhood's visual harmony." Emma chimed in from behind, her arms folded. "Honestly, it just looks out of place. Maybe you can store it in the garage when you're not using it." "Am using it," I said. "I'm injured. I can't walk long distances." Dalian's eyes narrowed. "We haven't seen you use it." I didn't even know what to say. I felt the blood rise to my face, that mix of anger and humiliation that makes your words die in your throat. A week later, I got the letter. A $250 fine for visual obstruction and property non-compliance. I remember holding that envelope, my knee throbbing, thinking, this can't be real. But it was. I tried calling Dalian, and she cut me off mid-sentence. "If you can operate a phone," she said, "you can move a chair." That night I sat staring at the folded fine on my table. My mind kept circling the same thought: maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just being difficult. Maybe I am the problem. The next morning, my neighbor Grace, she's a nurse, came over after seeing the HOA notice taped to my door. "You know this is harassment, right?" she said. "They did this at the hospital too." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Grace sighed. "Those same two. They tried to take another patient's wheelchair last month, claimed it was for their sick mother. The woman didn't even need one. It turned into a scene. That was the first time I felt something shift inside me. Like the fog of self-doubt finally started to clear. This wasn't about rules, it was about control. Grace offered to help me. We gathered my medical papers, the doctor's orders, everything proving my condition. She also installed a small camera near my porch just in case, and it turned out to be the best decision I ever made. A few days later, I heard loud voices outside. Dalian and Emma again, with 2 other HOA members in tow, pointing at my porch like they were inspecting a crime scene. "We warned him," Dalian said loudly, making sure I could hear. "We have to maintain standards." I opened the door, my hands gripping the wheelchair rims tight. "You're harassing me," I said. Emma smirked. "We're enforcing community policy." Then she stepped closer and pushed the wheelchair. Just a nudge, but enough to make my knee jolt in pain. "Don't touch it," I said louder now. People started coming out of their houses watching. Dalian turned to the small crowd and said, "See, he's aggressive. Aggressive. For trying to defend myself." I could feel my pulse in my ears. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was sit there gripping the arms of the chair, trying not to let them see how much it hurt. That night I almost gave up. I really did. I sat in the dark, the letter still on the counter, wondering if it was easier to just leave the neighborhood. I hated confrontation. I hated feeling like a spectacle. But then I looked at the video footage Grace had helped set up. There they were, Dalian and Emma on my porch, sneering, grabbing my chair, laughing when I winced. Watching it lit something in me I hadn't felt in months. Not rage exactly, but resolve. I filed an official complaint to the city's HOA Oversight Committee attaching the footage. I didn't expect much. People like them usually got away with everything. But within a week, the board called for an emergency community meeting. I showed up early, Grace by my side, her calm presence keeping me from unraveling. The meeting room was packed, neighbors whispering, phones ready, everyone waiting for the drama they'd been promised. Dalian sat at the front table, posture-stiff papers arranged perfectly in front of her. Emma stood beside her like a loyal guard dog. When the clock hit 7, Dalian cleared her throat. Tonight, she said, we address ongoing non-compliance issues with resident Dustin Hayes. The way she said my name like it was a stain on the carpet made my stomach twist. She started reading a list of infractions: leaving medical equipment outside, using aggressive language, disrupting community harmony. And then, she smiled. Therefore, we motion to revoke his residency privileges within Maple Grove Estates. It was the kind of line that makes your mind go silent. I could hear the air conditioner humming, someone coughing in the back. I felt my pulse spike. But then the door opened. A woman in a gray suit stepped in holding a tablet. "Excuse me," she said calmly. "I'm from the City Oversight Committee. We received a complaint with attached video evidence." The room went dead quiet. The woman walked up to the projector and connected her tablet. "Before we proceed with any vote," she said, "we'll review this." The footage started rolling. There I was on my porch. Then Dalian and Emma entered the frame, pointing, arguing, pushing my wheelchair. The sound wasn't even needed. You could see everything in their faces, the entitlement, the disdain. A few people in the crowd gasped. One whispered, "Oh my God!" Emma stood up fast. "That's edited," she shouted. The investigator didn't even blink. "This came directly from your own HOA security feed." I looked over and saw Grace smiling faintly, her arms crossed. The tension that had lived in my chest for weeks started to crack open. Dalian tried to recover. "We were ensuring compliance for the safety of all residents." The woman cut her off. "You laid hands on a mobility device and attempted to forcibly remove it from a resident. That's not enforcement, that's harassment." Then something unexpected happened. A woman in the front row stood up. Silver hair, calm eyes. "That's my mother," Emma blurted, trying to gain sympathy. But the older woman didn't look at her. She looked at me. "I know what my daughters do," she said softly. "They think control is the same as care. It isn't." Her voice trembled slightly. "I'm sorry they made you go through this." For the first time since I moved into that neighborhood, the room wasn't hostile anymore. It was quiet, like everyone had finally seen what I'd been dealing with. The investigator closed her tablet and turned to Dalian. "Effective immediately, you are suspended from your position as HOA president pending further review. Emma Brooks, you are barred from participation in any board activity for 5 years. The two sisters froze. Emma's jaw tightened. Dalian's eyes darted between the crowd and me, her mouth moving but no words coming out. I didn't say a thing. I didn't need to. When they finally left the room, shoulders' stiff whispers followed them all the way to the exit. The investigator turned back to me. "Mr. Hayes, your fine has been rescinded. And for the record, what you endured shouldn't happen to anyone." I just nodded, my throat tight. I wanted to thank her, thank Grace, thank that old woman who'd finally spoken truth, but I couldn't find the words. When I wheeled myself out into the cool night air, the parking lot was almost empty. The streetlights cast long, thin shadows across the pavement. Grace walked beside me in silence. After a while, she said quietly, "You know, some people fight for control because they've never felt powerless." I smiled faintly. "And some of us fight just to exist." I paused halfway down the ramp, looking back at the building where everything had just collapsed for them. Dalian and Emma had built their identities around authority, and tonight that authority cracked like glass. The next morning my porch felt different. Not because anything had changed physically, but because it was mine again. My wheelchair sat where it always did, sunlight hitting its metal frame. For the first time I didn't feel embarrassed about it. I felt grounded. They say justice moves slow, but sometimes it shows up right on time, quietly, firmly, like the sound of a door finally locking behind someone who deserved to be on the other side. And that's the thing about people who hide cruelty behind rules. Once the truth is out, the rules stop protecting them.